We have about 3 more minutes before we're going to go live. Do you have any something you could play, Mike? Or even the same thing again? I would be happy to hear it again.
Yeah, I could do because there's probably people still coming in, right?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first, I believe, BisMan Virtual Studio Tour. I'm Molly McLain. I'm the Executive Director of Dakota West Arts Council and a working community artist. I've been a working artist most of my adult life, and this is one of my mosaics in the background. I'm newly the Executive Director of Dakota West Arts Council, which is a nonprofit here in Bismarck, Mandan, committed to supporting, uplifting, empowering, and advocating for the arts community in all shapes and forms in Bismarck, Mandan, and our region. I'm very new to this position, which is why you'll see me reading off my notes. And I want to give a huge shout out to painter Nicole, who you'll hear from, as well as Justin and Shelly of both Nodakian Studios and the BisMan Writers Guild for doing a bulk of the organizing work on this, getting everybody together and organized, and Justin specifically for being the tech guru. So if you want to do a little clap reaction for them, round of applause, please do. They're a big driving force behind this. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about how this all came about. And Nicole has been having conversations, and Nicole and I had a conversation about the possibility of artists and arts in all forms studio tour, studio crawl. And this year, 2020, with the pandemic and such, we obviously are not having a physical studio tour, but in the future, we'd love for this to evolve into a actual studio crawl where we could visit where artists and musicians and dancers, writers make and create. So that is kind of just a long-term vision. In addition, we also hope to have a couple more of these, maybe one in the fall and one in the winter. And I did want to just do a couple of housekeeping things, making sure that your video and your mic are muted, but we do encourage your questions in the chat, so please ask away. And let's see. I can't wait to hear from all the artists and musicians, dancers, writers that are on this evening. I think it's a really exciting and leave it to artists, a creative way of connecting in this time. So we'll just get started. So I guess without further ado, I'll introduce Shelly with Nodakian Studios. Shelly Sayler is a full-time production ceramicist, and she owns Nodakian Studios in Bismarck. You might have seen her at Bismarket, or I think, Shelly, you have pieces maybe at BDAC and elsewhere around town. She focuses on creating functional pottery that's heavy on textured, colorful fun, and not on bulk. She's new to the teaching artist community and is excited to transition to a digital learning platform. She has a number of online presence arenas, one at nodakianstudios.com, westcover.com, Nodakian Studios on Instagram, and Nodakian Studios on Facebook. And Shelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that Nodakian Studios references North Dakota. So without further ado, Shelly Sayler with Nodakian Studios. Her work is exquisite, and I'm just so excited to hear from and see all of the wealth and of robust local talent we have here in Bismarck, Mandan tonight. Take it away, Shelly.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the virtual crawl. Thank you, Molly, for that lovely introduction. And yes, Nodakian Studios does stand for North Dakota. So since we have a short bit of time, I'm going to walk you through my studio, and then we're going to get right on to throwing some pots for you. Okay, so right here we are looking at my wheel, and usually it's pushed back against the wall, but we have it pulled out so we can film today. And over here, of course, we need coffee and lots of aspirin. Here's my wedging table. I have some extra clay up there for wedging and getting ready for projects. Over here is the pug mill. So this is where I process my clay. I make all of my wet clay in-house. So by that I mean I get my clay in powdered form in 50-pound bags on pallets. So that's a little extra work, but you know, I want my clay the way I like it. Here I have my work table, and in the back you can see some wire shelves. Here's a work in progress. Quick unwrap for you. It's really hot in here, so everything is covered. Well, my one thing is covered. I ran the kiln last night, so we're at about 90 degrees. So this is a work in progress. Here's some pieces I threw before we jumped on tonight. Here is the temperature. We're sweating. Okay. Back here is where I keep my glazes. I have some wet glaze, some dry glaze, my sieve up here, all my wax, my tools, my underglazes. Nice bright working area. Here's a piece that was supposed to go in the kiln yesterday, but didn't quite make it. And over here, I have a bunch of dry glaze. More dry glaze, and then buckets of underglaze. So when I order things, I try to keep everything in dry form because I don't want to buy water. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and throw for you. Hand my camera off to my assistant and we'll get started. Okay. Okay, so I thought I'd throw a couple small pieces for you today. Just gonna throw the same thing over and over again, kind of give you an idea of what my everyday office life looks like. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to center my clay. And these are all pre-wedged balls that are 1.5 pounds. So usually for production, I stick between 1 pound and 1.5 pounds. It's easy to transport. It's a nice size. The smaller it is, the more affordable it is. And I think everyone should have some homemade pottery in their house. I don't think it should be exclusive. I'm just gonna whip through these here. So they might not all be totally perfect, but we'll try to keep them pretty uniform. So I have that opened up. Now I'm just going to grab the water out of the bottom, compress the bottom. This is probably one of the most important parts. If you don't compress that bottom, you're gonna get a crack. And that crack might not show up until you've finished firing, and then it's too late because you can't go back. I'm gonna raise that wall once just to even the clay out, see where I'm at, and how much more I can stress the clay. Again, compressing the bottom. A lot of people come up and ask me, oh, your pottery's so light. How do you get the weight out of the bottom? I get aggressive at the bottom. I really grab onto that bottom clay and pull it up and pull it out. If I can do that now, I can save a lot of work in the future, so I don't have as much to trim off. So right now, this is my test tool. It's just a stick with some inch measurements on it. I'm looking for a bowl that is 6 inches across and 4 inches tall. So I think that's about it. 6. Press that bottom. Now the rib. I'm just going to take the slurry off the outside of the pot. I'm going to firm it up quite a bit so I can lift it off the wheel. That's what I scraped off. If you can see that. Do that to the inside. And every time I touch the bottom, I compress it. Okay. Finish off the rim. I'm gonna rib it one more time. I'm gonna run the sponge on the inside of the bowl. Just take any sharp edges off. Trim the excess off the bottom, which again is gonna take a lot of that weight off. See how much I pulled off. One more time. So now we're gonna lift it off. I don't throw on bats. I can't stand bats. First off, I don't have the space for the bats, and they just take up a lot of space. So I think that's my 8-minute mark, and here is my bowl. Do I have time for one more? Yep. Okay, let's do one more. Throw it down. I think that's my favorite part. Center it. I don't know if anyone has any questions while I'm throwing that I could try to answer.
There's a question, what's a bat?
Oh, good question. It's not a flying rodent in my studio. A bat is a plate that sets on the wheel. So when I'm done throwing, instead of picking that off, I just pull the whole bat off of the wheel of plate. I have one around here somewhere I can dig up a little later if anyone wants to see it. But if you can imagine 13, 14-inch bats filling up your shelves quite quickly, even if you overlap them, I like to pack my ware pretty tight on a cart. Just to save room, save time. Open this up again. You see I'm rushing, I've got a little wobble in there. That's okay. Press that bottom. I think my time is getting to an end now. Are there any more questions before we sign out?
There's a question from, who are some of your favorite artists from Kim Conco?
Oh, I think one of my favorite would be Lucy Rye. I just love her sgraffito and line work. There's current ones now that I follow on Instagram. There's an Adam Bart. He makes the coolest whimsical figurines. They're so much fun. So many. If I could look through pictures, I could be, oh, I know that person, I know that person. I really like theirs. But to name off the top of my head right now, I should post a list of people that inspire me. It's a good question.
And one other question, do you ever let other potters join you in your studio, Shelly?
As of right now, no. I don't have a public studio quite yet. However, that is going to be changing in the very near future. Fingers crossed. I would love to have studio space for other potters and studio space for other hand builders. And we'll see where that goes. So if you're a clay worker out there that's local, please reach out to me. I need more community. I have a hard time creating in a bell jar. I like the exchange of ideas. And one more we have done. We'll trim and cut off the pot, and then you guys can cut me off and we'll go to the next one.
Well, thank you, Shelly. There's also a comment from Rebecca at the council saying, great, I have my own wheel. Could I come house at your soon to come studio?
I'd love that. I'd love that. We're looking at about January for a timeline. So give us some time and keep an eye on Nodakian Studios, either the webpage, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Thank you so much, Shelly.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thanks for the great questions. And if everybody wants to do a reaction with your clappy hands, please do. Give her a round of applause. And look for her stuff at Bismark. I know, Shelly, are you at other local places in town?
I will be at Capitol Affair this weekend. I'm in the Heritage Center. I have a few pieces over at Bubble Island on East Divide, and a few pieces at Bismark Arts and Gallery.
And thank you for the wonderful questions, everybody, and enthusiasm. Also, Shelly, Witney said that she looks forward to a reality show of you throwing pottery. She said that's what you need.
I was kind of scared before this point, but I think I can do this on Facebook Live. Definitely.
It was great. Thank you for sharing your talent. Moving along, next up, we're so fortunate to have the Northern Plains Dance Crew here. Hollis, the executive director of Northern Plains, says that all of the hard work that goes into our performances happens behind closed doors. So tonight, she says, I'd love to let the public have a sneak peek into the rehearsal process. So I can kind of see it up in the corner. They'll be highlighted in just a moment for the rehearsal, the creative process. I'm giddy. And as I've been doing, I'll show I'll highlight everyone's online presence in the chat. And Northern Plains Dance is a local dance nonprofit that has educational classes of all kinds. I join with my one-year-old daughter with kinder music, and they have performances all over the city. And they're looking forward to getting into a new space. So without further ado, Northern Plains Dance. Thanks for being here.
Hi, welcome to our studio. We're rehearsing for our rooftop event next Thursday. So can we walk through that one more time? So this version we have DJ, you start first, right? Music and finish around the center. So basically, can you show us what we do right before you go to your last one? You have right, so that's going to be your cue, I think, is her fan, right? To just walk in. And then she goes da da da, and make sure you really that brings her in and draws our eyes to her. So as you gesture, it's really sweet. Yes, lovingly caressed from a socially distanced, appropriate space. And then you walk through, you do your whole thing, right? And you finish upstage, right? And then in the silence in between, you roll up and wait for the music, and then make sure you start on the correct foot to do your walk with them. So you start on your left foot, right? So you can go to the stage. Okay. So we go from the top of this. Actually, what is really nice about this space, this is basically our correct spacing. So this is the wall, like on the rooftop. Follow each other. Give me a moment to fast forward to the end of Emma's music. Zach, can you introduce yourself? They're asking who you are. They don't even know who I am. Hi, My name is Zachary Layton. I'm an instructor here at Northern Plains Dance. This is my second year with the organization and well, I guess second rooftop event too, and my first studio crawl. So kind of a newbie to that. Welcome, like I said, to our studio. We're gonna show you a section from a piece from there was a dance competition back in February that they rehearsed for many months for, and then we decided to use this piece for our rooftop event, like I said, next Thursday. We're also rehearsing another piece later, and all of the pieces are nice and socially distanced so that we can, have a performance outside. So let's. There you go. Go back, go back. Where do you start, friend?
You want me to start from the end of my solo?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hands open. Sorry, we are experiencing some technical difficulties. There we go. Down the burns. This is that. Let's do this transition. And we all stand. You're right there, Bert? Yep. You're right there, Hannah? So one of the interesting things about this process is that because of all of the things that have been happening, we've actually been doing a lot of Zoom rehearsals. We've been doing a lot of things where the dancers are working with a video. We haven't had a lot of in-person rehearsals. So I think this is the first time we've had this entire group together in one room, right? For this, so that was actually really good.
Thank you so much, dancers and Zach. Thank you, Northern Plains, for being part of this. This was just such a treat to watch the rehearsal. And when is this performance?
It's next Thursday, August 6th at 7:30 p.m. the First International Bank. Tickets are available on our website at northernplainsdance.org, or you can give us a call, 530-0986, and we'll hook you up.
Thank you so much. Everybody, if you can do a clap reaction, give you a round of applause. Thank you for being part of this Northern Plains Dance.
Of course, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Yes, we're so glad you're in our community. And I'll sail along to our next folks, Copilot Designs, and they will be showing new work today. And Copilot Design says, my name is Mike, or it's Mike Mulligan and shop partner Tony Taylor. Together they make lots of functional art using metal, wood, leather, and other materials. They're always experimenting and learning new disciplines and love to combine different medias to create functional art. Favorite subject matters include landscapes and the performing arts. So it's a perfect segue from dance into Copilot Designs. Welcome, and we're glad to have you here.
Sorry for the delay there. My name is Mike Mulligan.
I'm Tony Taylor.
And we are Copilot Designs. We, oh, okay. I don't know if you heard that or not, but we just introduced ourselves. I'm Mike Mulligan. This is
Tony Taylor.
And we're Copilot Designs. This is our shop space. We kind of do a lot of functional art, furniture, leather work. This is a piece we're working on right now. It's a piece of myrtle wood, and it's going to become a table with these hairpin legs. We have another glue up over here. We just got glued up. It hasn't gotten cleaned up yet. This is kind of our woodworking side of the shop with lots of sanders and things to cut fingers off, which we try not to do. And then we've been getting into robotics and making things with the CNC machine. We have right over here a CNC machine that carves out things like 3D carvings out of wood, signs. We also use it to flatten big live edge slabs. And there's one over here. This is a walnut slab. And this is another local woodworker who we kind of work with sometimes. And we do metal work as well. And so he wanted us to make some legs for him for this one. Let's see here. This is kind of the metal side. So we do metal working as well. And there used to be, sorry if I may have misunderstood that we're in Grand Forks. Hopefully that's okay that we're not Bismark, Mandan. We know people.
That's totally okay. We wanted to be inclusive.
Okay. So in Grand Forks, we had a local maker space here for, unfortunately, only lasted about 8 months or so. And we are involved with that, which it kind of works like a gym membership, except it's for like people having access to different tools, so everyone can kind of learn how to make things out of metal, wood, and
they offered classes for children, families. It was a great date spot. You could bring somebody there. It was really just kind of a fun place for everyone to go and experience.
Yeah. And we are friends with the owner, and then he kind of gave us, when they unfortunately had to close down, he gave us some of their metalworking tools. So we've been kind of learning like machining tools and stuff too, messing around with. And back here, sorry, everything's kind of a mess. That's our leather sewing machine. My grandpa he had a Mulligan saddle shop here on the farm, and he made horse harnesses and saddles. Just kind of learning that. Another thing we're recently doing is just today we got running this. It's another robot CNC machine, but this one cuts metal instead. So kind of experimenting with that currently. Lots of coffee cups.
Show them what we're.
And as we've been watching this, we've been working on cutting parts to finish building that metal CNC machine. But,
I have a quick question, I guess. Is some of the wood you work with local? Is it local?
Yeah, a lot of it is local. We work with a sawmill called Buffalo Coulee, and they're out of Cummings, North Dakota. And they mill up local logs. A lot of times it's ones that come from Grand Forks.
They work with the Parks District.
Yeah, one of the guys works at the Parks District. The other guy works at UND. They both do tree removal, so they kind of get first pick of the logs and
all the good stuff, at least.
Yeah.
Super cool. One other question. Nicole asked, do you know why the Maker's Ace closed? What a bummer.
Yeah, that was a real bummer. It was a combination of things. It was just hard to get enough people to join it, I guess, to be sustainable was one of the issues. The main issue was, unfortunately, a coding issue. Depending on who you talk to at the city, they're like embarrassed by it, but some inspectors came by and, they had to either do like $60,000 of upgrades to the building or close, and they couldn't afford the upgrades.
Shoot, tough.
So,
well,
yeah.
We're getting. I've got to. I guess I have to be not aggressive. I hate being aggressive, but cut people off just to move along. And I should have been doing a better job going forward or retroactively. But thank you so much, Mike and Tony, for showing us your studio, and excited to know about you guys over here in Bismark, Mandan, because I think the whole idea of this was to collaborate as artists. And so could everybody give them a round of applause in the reactions?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for showcasing your work.
Yeah.
I have some ideas actually to plug you in possibly over here in Bismarck, so maybe be in touch.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up, and we're a little bit behind, but I think that's okay because I've been asking questions as we go, so I don't think we're too far behind. And some people have said, sorry about the tech issues. I just wanted to reassure everyone, as we were gearing up for this, we thought, this is kind of a trial run. We've never done a virtual studio tour. So thanks for being easygoing and flexible through all the quirks that, of course, technology does offer sometimes. So next up, super excited to introduce the BisMan Writers Guild, who is the tech person here. Justin, I'm not going to pronounce your last name right, so I'll leave that to you. But he's a self-published author, founded the BisMan Writers Guild just recently in February 2019 as a way to uplift local writers in North Dakota by offering guild meetings, write-ins, and workshops. The guild has always been an all-inclusive group offering writers of all walks of life a way to connect. And within a year, it's become a nonprofit that continues to uplift writers through the same means, but it's also evolved into offering its writers a way to be published without going through traditional or self-publishing means by having them submit stories to the guild. And they wish someday, and I love this, to bring a writing conference and reading conference to Bismarck. And I'll put their info in the chat. So Justin, to you.
All right. So let's get my video spotlighted here. So I'm Justin Cancelleri. I am the executive director of the BisMan Writers Guild. Nick, you can move on in here a little bit.
Hi.
You can show the love. This is Nick Keller. He's our vice president. We've got 2 readings. I'm going to read from our A Nightmare's Testimony. It's an anthology by the BisMan Writers Guild. I am also author of The Griffin, the legendary creature project, The Griffin. So without further ado, I'm going to read Rich's Brew and a Familiar Too by Justin Cancelleri. Morgan sat at her desk, sipping a cup of Witch's Brew coffee. She perused a small stack of papers in her hand. She didn't want to do this, but every witch needs a familiar, or at least that's what the coven told her. Yes, she was a witch, but she hated that term. She preferred magic user, and even though that term made her feel like an addict, it didn't have the stigma of witch. The coven had provided her with all the names of familiars in the market for a new job. The coven had also warned her that familiars came with plenty of risk. The life of the familiar and the witch become intertwined. Whatever happens to one happens to the other. Morgan thought it over and decided that it was worth it. Besides, all of her friends had familiar. Nothing like the present to get the interviews underway, she thought. Jantar Mantar, Morgan muttered the incantation. A puff of smoke, then a hyena with green spots appeared in front of her, a toothy grin on its face. It stared at her with glowing green eyes. Morgan looked over the first page of her paperwork. Hello, Picatrix. You're the first on the list for becoming my familiar, Morgan said. Can you tell me why you would make a good familiar? Where to start, Picatrix said in a high-pitched voice, then laughed maniacally. First and foremost, I'm a hyena. What better animal for a familiar could there be? I can steal without detection. I'm very strong, and I will give you space when you need it. Can you tell jokes? Of course, and laugh at them as well, Picatrix giggled. Thank you for your time. I will summon you once more if I choose you. Jadu Mantar. With that, Picatrix vanished in a waft of green smoke, leaving behind the scent of animal musk. Morgan thought for a moment, then marked a maybe on the page next to the familiar's name. She flipped to the next sheet. Oops. I forgot to unmute myself on the video. Lost my page. That Picatrix vanished and okay, she flipped to the next page and looked it over. This next one looks interesting, she thought. Aji Maji. A large black cat with blazing red eyes and a fiery aura around the tip of its tail appeared. It sat and began grooming. Morgan let out a slight giggle. Even as a magical being, it had the behavior of a cat. She looked over the page once more, then at the familiar. And then with that, I will hand it over to Nick. Ready, Mr. Keller?
I'm kind of ready. Well, I'm a poet.
And you don't know it?
And if I had a nickel. My artist name is Big Nick. It's because I'm big. So we're gonna jump into it. This is a poem I wrote in my book Kaleidoscope Nights. And if you're interested at all, check it out at bignickpoetry.com or Big Nick Poetry on Facebook. And I'm also partners in crime with this guy at BisMan Writers Guild, so it's been fun. This poem's called I Wish I Had a Farmer's Tan. I wish I had a farmer's tan, so at least then I'd have something to show for this life. I wish I had a farmer's hands, rough and calloused, strong with the tender warmth only the family knows. I wish I had a farmer's eyes, bathed in creation each and every morning. A golden seed grown from ground, cursed to the plow, yet somehow God pulled a promise from it. And I wish I had a farmer's faith to lay a simple seed in stubborn soil. Watch it grow like truth buried in a hardened heart. At first a tiny spring, soon vines spreading through the cracks and making this once abandoned mansion a living lighthouse. To anchor a point of hope so bright no ship at sea could sail past it. I wish I had a farmer's strength, but I don't. No, my skin's pale and sheltered. My hands are soft and pampered. The only muscle I've got is the one barely beating behind my chest. And it's cold and atrophied from entitlement. I'm the only one who deserves the grain without the toil, the safety without the sacrifice, the blessing without the humility to bow my unsweated brow before the Lord. And oh, it's the saddest song, the sweetest poem, that we know the misery of a boy pretending to be a man. I wish I had a farmer's tan.
You got time for one more small one if you want.
Oh, yeah, unless there's questions. I don't know if there's questions about poetry. I'll do this one. Oh, sorry.
No questions yet.
All right, I'll do a short one. This one's also in the book. It's called Oddly Enough. I'm a procrastinator, an architect of half-completed structures, trailing sentences. Black and white canvases, snow-shoveled partial parkways. I have an artist, a poet's most desperate of diseases. My self-stricken idling keeps me thinking, feeling, burning, but the flame stays firmly inside. Never a light for searching eyes, heat held from prevailing winds, doing nothing for no one. But here and at this very time, I make a pact with you, my devoted reader. As of now to grand future, my procrastination days are terminated. I promise to always finish my... Thank you.
That's gotta be one of my favorite ones.
Is it? It's fun if you get it.
Yeah.
It's not so fun if you don't.
Thank you so much, Justin and Big Nick. That was delightful. So glad to have a writer's presence that's organizing and looking to build that community into the future. So thank you. Let's give them a round of applause, everybody. Next up is Witney with Unconventional Cookies. Witney Nielsen, I'm sure you've seen her work around, featured in the Art Alley, I believe. She's a multi-talented artist who does beautiful painting, amazing graphic design, and intricate repurposed item sculptures, often utilizing, I think, like toy animals and all sorts of fun found things. But today, she'll be showing us her newest endeavor, amazing edible art in the form of colorful, playful sugar cookies. Yum. Thanks, Witney.
Hi. I was going to just switch it around and have my husband like carry it around because I wanted to do like an MTV Cribs thing, but I can't figure out how to do it. I bet it's so easy. Anyway, so we're gonna do it like this. Hi, this is my husband, Andy.
Hello.
I'm Witney from Unconventional Cookies. Does this look terrible?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dang it, we were gonna do the door opening thing and everything. No one else not excited about that?
I love cribs.
Hey, Molly, how do I switch the camera so it's like the, oh, my computer. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Okay, anyway, we're gonna do this. Okay, so my studio is literally a cabinet. I am a graphic designer by day. So, that angle. Yeah, I've only been decorating cookies since December, and it was the Bega Cookie Walk that got me into it. So it's pretty much this cabinet that I just bought, and I feel like this is going to be a commercial for it. It like unfolds into this epic, I don't know, cavern. Woo! It has all my stuff. Come closer. Oh my God, you guys. I'm so good at this. Okay, so we've got, I don't need to be on this, do I? We've got my 3D printer, because I make most of my own cookie cutters. I like baker's twine, because I like for my customers to really have to work to get into their boxes. I got lots of stickers and stuff. Cookies. Ooh. Is this the worst angle ever? And then over here is really fun. I just bought one of those like old school labelers because I've only had this cabinet for like a week. And so I've got like all my cookie cutters and they're all labeled and gorgeous. And the ones I make look really crappy because I don't think I really know how to do it, but they work, so whatever. I have like a little packaging station because I individually seal each cookie because like usually you're just buying a dozen for yourself, so you're gonna want to put a couple in the freezer so they stay fresh. What am I talking about? Okay, Nielsen. So I'm gonna do a little cookie demo. This is my workspace. It's literally where my computer is during the day and where my cookies is during the night. Okay, this is gonna be real awkward. You're gonna have to like. So I'm making star ones for a little girl's party. Can you hold this? This is so janky. I'm so sorry, you guys. Maybe you should go the other side because I'm right-handed. Oh yeah, girl, we got this. So these are all my royal icing bags, and I color code the rubber bands. Yeah, what those are called. I color code them. So blue is a flood icing, pink is piping, and then purple is a 20-second. So it's like the in between. Because if you mix pink and blue, what do you get? Purple, right? Anyway. Andy's looking at me like he wants a divorce. Okay, so I pre-lined this cookie. So, I was gonna do like that Martha Stewart thing where she pulls a like already baked thing out of the oven. But I'm gonna take my piping icing. Can you guys see this? We're just gonna use Andy like a little tripod. And I'm a little shaky because I hate being on camera. That's so embarrassing to admit. But I just pipe, touch down, just light pressure. And I'm shaking, so I'm gonna stop. I've got my little turntable here. It's so cute. I've broken like 4 of them already. And we're gonna, I've never piped on camera before. Is my head in the way? I did it, you guys. I won. Okay, so then we would wait for that to dry a little bit because I like to really flood things. What is the best 3D printed cookie cutter you've made? I don't know. What do you think? I made a Swiss Army knife that works. Like you can, if you go to my website, unconventionalcookies.com, or my Instagram, you can see, and then the like knife part comes out, and it was all edible. That was pretty cool. And so I used my 3D printer to make that little, because it was like a 3-piece thing. Anyway, okay, so now I'm gonna use my flooding icing, and this is the fun part. So I flood from that, like, some people go around the edge, but I don't trust myself. So I just really ploop it in there. I should probably have a bigger tip. This is a 1.5. I should probably have like a 2.5 on, but you know what, guys? I live on the edge. I eat a lot. Why? Oh my God, I know I've gained so much weight. Thanks, Kim. Just kidding. She asked how many cookies I eat. Okay.
What's your Instagram?
That is a great question. It's probably Unconventional Cookies. Is that too long of a handle? Because then it's Unco Cookies.
Okay.
I'm so bad at all of this, you guys. Anyway, So I use my little needle and I just push everything out to the edge, and it kind of just, like, you just kind of got to let it do what it wants to do. It wants to be flat. If you have a little bubble, you just stab at it. It's so relaxing, you guys. This is like, I don't know. I could watch like videos of Shelly throwing pottery and people flooding cookies all day, every day. Okay, so then I flooded it, so I give it a little shake, and that helps even it out. But I want to add some like swirlies to this guy, because why not? So I'm just gonna, ooh, that was cool. Don't worry. You guys, stop worrying.
Cameraman, can you point the camera down just a little bit more?
Oh God, I'm sorry, you guys.
No, perfect.
Molly, you're an angel. Okay.
Oh, geez.
So I'm just swirling, and then I'm gonna take from the outside in, and then the key is you have to clean your needle in between every pull. Otherwise it gets really messy and like your lines get all messed up, and then you go into a shame spiral and cry yourself to sleep. I don't really want to talk about it anymore. Okay, so I kind of like how that looks. Maybe I'll pull a couple more this way. Get kind of a flowery look. And then you got to add glitter, right? So I have all my little sanding glitters.
We got about 1 minute to touchdown, Whitney. We'll move on.
Girlfriend, guess what? I'm done. I'm so sorry that everybody had to watch this, and thank you for having me. Bye.
So beautiful. Let's give her a round of applause. Who's that?
Oh, that's Mo.
Hi, Mo.
And beautiful.
I think that's our first studio crawl dog, so thank you.
Oh, your own food. Okay, bye.
Thanks so much, Whitney, with Unconventional Cookies. Next up, excited to introduce Chris from Lifeless Arts, which is a brand new, all-encompassing studio and maker space in Mandan, I believe. So, and Chris says, I'm mainly an oil painter. I do a lot of people, animals, and landscapes, and you might be showing us your studio. So welcome, Chris. Thanks for being here.
Hi. Hello, I'm here with
What is going on?
Tom and Peter.
Hi there.
They're members here at the studio. I'll do a quick walkthrough. This would be our main studio, like lounge area. Then this is our main studio space. As you can see, there's plenty of room, plenty of easel space, plenty of workspace. So what Lifeless Arts is it's a 24-hour studio for artists to come by and work when they want to work. So you've got a key fob, you come in, you can work at 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 5 o'clock in the morning, whenever's good for you. For like a monthly fee is like little as $2 a day. We also offer classes, workshops. We have figure drawing every Friday. We've got oil painting classes. We also do custom canvases. Yeah. So, any questions? Any? Hello?
No questions yet. You're located in Mandan, correct?
Right next to the Strawberry Bar. Our address is 214 West Main Street.
Great. And then Kim says, show us your work.
Oh, okay.
And how many folks are currently involved, Chris?
Right now we've got 3 members. Hopefully we'll have more. So if anybody's interested, give me a call, text message. Here are some pieces I'm currently working on.
I'm really glad I didn't pull this out.
Beautiful.
And then I've got this one over here that's done. Yeah. And then,
so Rebecca says figure drawing, that's pretty cool, and something that is not offered in many communities. So that's a great offering.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. Anybody have any more questions? You have a great space there, so thanks for and Rebecca says, who models for you?
Let's see, we have 5 models. For me to remember their name would be difficult because I'm terrible with names. But we try to mix them up every session, so every other week we'll have a new model. So
Thank you. Yeah, we hear painting is unique style and nice concept. So thanks so much for being here and for sharing, and share with friends, because I know you're brand new and such a great offering for the community, that space.
Right. We also do gallery exhibits. We're going to try and do another one here in November, as well as if anybody would want to rent out space to do their own kind of workshop or something like that, we could totally work with that too.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Chris.
All right.
We'll move on now to Andrea Fagerstrom, who is, she was raised in Riverdale, North Dakota. She's going to give us a studio tour. She graduated from NDSU with a Bachelor of Fine Arts and then went on to the University of Montana in Missoula, where she graduated with a Master of Arts in Integrated Arts and Education. She likes exploring different mediums, including painting, weaving, fiber arts, and encaustic, which she can explain to us. She also plays the piano, guitar, ukulele, and flute. Drea is currently serving on the board of the North Dakota Art and Gallery Association and DAGA, and a member of BAGA, Bismark Art and Gallery Association, which Witney mentioned how that's how she got involved in making cookies. So I just love the community connections here. And Drea is also involved at BDAC, Bismarck Downtown Artist Co-op. She's an annually returning guest artist in the classroom at Jeanette Myrie Elementary School in Bismarck, and she enjoys advocating for the arts and humanities in BisMan and seeing them flourish with each passing year. And I know she teaches at BSC. So, Drea, take it away.
Okay. Can you see me, hear me? Okay, I think so. So this is my studio. This is actually more of a storage space, as I usually don't actually create the artwork in here. This is an oil painting. It's in progress, and it's part of a series that I'm working on where I'm using the same elements. So I've got a triangle, circle, and lines, and I'm using strictly those, but with each composition, I change it to make it a totally different composition, but there will be enough unity between all of the pieces that it'll fit together in a nice series. So I'm excited about that. With oil painting, it is pretty toxic, so that's why I don't paint inside here. If I paint at home, I'll do it outside or in the garage, but often with oil painting, I will do that on campus if we have a better air handling system there. Over here, the cat. I have baskets of yarn everywhere. I'm also a weaver, which I'll do a quick demo over there. I also have some ball making stuff. Like these are some dandelions I pulled from my yard and dried them and have them infusing. So I'm excited to bring those out and make some stuff with that. And can you hold this? I've got my kids helping. Okay, there you go. All right. All right, so this is a rigid heddle loom. This is, I don't know, my favorite kind. I really like working with this. So this is my, the heddle. So I have it in the up position right now. This is a self-feeding shuttle, which is amazing. Without this, the process takes substantially longer. On the 45-degree angle, keeps it nice. When I warp this loom, this is the warping, it takes up a lot of space, and you're dealing with a lot of string and yarn. And I have 3 cats, so typically I will tear this down and take it to campus and warp my loom there, and then come back here to actually do the weaving. So with this method, with each pass, I lay 1 string of yarn, But now I've, where I have two colors in one line, that is Kraft weft weaving. And I will do a quick demo of that. On this loom, I do wall hangings. I've done quite a few scarves. You can do table runners on here. Pretty versatile. And the way I load these spools is actually I stick a paintbrush in my power drill, and then I stick the spool on the power drill, and then I get the yarn started, and then I stick the power on, and away I go. Much faster than hand rolling it. All right. Let's go, we'll put this side. No, we want to come from this side.
Andrea, so there is a question. So you lay one line and go back in the same way you came out? Is it the pressure that keeps it from unraveling, or?
So this is the heddle. Right now it's in the up position. So I've got strings up and strings underneath. And then I've strung this through, and I'll show you the down position here. And now I'm taking a separate thing of fabric, or not fabric, yarn, and I'm pulling it through the same way, only now when I pull this through, it's going to pull in this second color. So I can pull that in to wherever I want. Now my heddle is in the top position, so then I do this, and now I put it in the bottom position. So now my threads that were on top now are on bottom. So then I can pull this through again. Weaving is really fun. My mother weaves as well. She has a huge loom. You can make rugs on her loom. That's how big it is. pretty fun.
Do you, or how did you learn how to weave? And do you, or would you ever consider teaching lessons?
I actually learned from Sue Bartholomew, or Balcom now. I've got my daughter keeping time for me. I learned from Sue Bartholomew Balcom, and it's really fun, and it kind of looks complicated at first. The toughest part is just learning the basics. Once you get the basics down, it's really easy, but it takes a couple times. Warping the loom is, I think, the most challenging part, and that's all these threads that are running this way. So once you get the warping down, it's pretty smooth sailing. All right, so I think after this pass, I'm going to take you guys to get a brief look at another method that I use. Let's do a little bit.
And just for the sake of time, we might have to catch that on the next one, or you'll show us real quick.
I can run out super fast.
Okay. And what are your cats' names? That's Nicole's.
I've got Garage, because I found him in the garage, and Stubbs, because she doesn't have a tail, and Porter, because Carport, I wanted to theme. So really quick, in 30 seconds, this is encaustic painting, and caustic is wax-based. I really like it because you can do a lot of collage and layering. These are actually fabric pieces that I've laid on. I don't know if you can see that. And then I use electric griddles to heat it up. These are actually empty tuna cans that are great for holding my wax. And I've got a torch that I use to kind of seal it in between. And in that amount of time, thank you, and thanks to my kids for being my camera people and timekeepers.
So cool. Thank you for highlighting your processes, your many processes, and taking us in your studio. Appreciate that variety. Next up is Mike Langer. He's going to do a creative space tour and demo. The studio tour participants.
They're running out of time.
And Drea, you're not muted quite yet. And so Mike, we were fortunate to hear him as a prelude coming into this. And he's a pianist, composer, and educator. He lives in Bismarck and is in the middle of working on his doctorate in piano performance at NDSU. And he'll be teaching as a Challis School of Music Fellow. He's taught various music courses at BSC and UMary and runs a private piano studio and has for many years. Each summer, he plays and sometimes directs at Sleepy Hollow and also at the International Music Camp this summer, which is closed due to COVID-19. And he enjoys a variety of creative pursuits. He's played jazz and classical ensembles around the region, and his compositions have been performed by college and professional choirs. And he was commissioned by the North Dakota Music Teachers Association in 2018 to write Delphia for solo piano and recorded audio. He has an upcoming chamber music concert at NDSU of his own arrangements performed by himself and other faculty. And he'll also present a solo recital in October, so we'll look forward to all sorts of things from you, Mike, and look forward to hearing about your music now.
All right, hello everyone. This has been really cool to get to see everyone else's studios and work. It's really, really inspiring. So I'm Mike Langer. That bio kind of said everything. I thought what I could do is just talk a little bit about some projects I'm working on and upcoming things, a little bit more detail, and then I'm going to play for you. I've spent this summer, since lots of other things aren't going on, I've had a little bit more free time to work on a few projects. One that was just mentioned is a chamber music concert. It'll be held at NDSU in Fargo, but it'll be live streamed, of course, and that the tentative date is August 31st. So just follow NDSU's music department Facebook page, or whatever online, and you'll hear about it that way. But I've arranged a few pieces for a small group of 2 pianos, a couple percussionists, and trumpet. One piece is a really cool newer classical piece called Short Ride in a Fast Machine. That's going to be a really wild, it's a kind of an insanely fast, very virtuosic kind of piece for everyone. And then some music by Aaron Copland that's kind of Cuban inspired. And then I also arranged, if there's any Frank Zappa fans out there, I have arranged Frank Zappa's, the opening to the Apostrophe album, Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, and a few songs that go after that. So it's like a 12-minute set of music that I've arranged for this instrumental ensemble, and with the vocalist, of course. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm really interested in. I like mixing classical and jazz and pop and kind of putting it all together in the same mix. I do compose original music, but I haven't actually written much for piano solos, so I don't have anything to share that's an original piece of solo music for you. I'm inspired a lot by poetry, and so I've written some pieces like that. I've done, the one other piece she mentioned is I did a piece that was piano with a recorded track accompaniment. So, and that's a bigger piece. I don't have enough time to perform that here for you. But that was a neat piece. I took a recording of my grandmother telling her life story, and I set it to music in a really neat way. That is available on YouTube. It's called Delphia, A Life in 3 Parts, and that's on my YouTube channel. And another piece that I wrote for choir called Job, which is taking the biblical story of Job and setting that to music. And I've got a few other things online. So if you want to check out my original stuff, it is available on YouTube. My other upcoming project that she mentioned is a solo piano recital. That's my main thing. I'm working on a doctorate in solo piano performance at NDSU. And my first recital will be coming up. I haven't set a date, sometime September, October. Again, watch my Facebook page or NDSU's Facebook page. It'll be live streamed. So the piece I'm going to play for you will be in that program that will include some pieces by Scarlatti, a large set of pieces by Robert Schumann, and this piece, which I'll explain in a moment, and then a really cool
flashy Spanish piece by the Impressionist Spanish composer Isaac Albéniz. So the piece I'm going to play for you now is by Maurice Ravel. He was born in about 1875, lived in Paris, is one of the most well-known names of the Impressionist school of music. So all you painters in this group, I'm sure are who doesn't love Impressionist painting? I've got a Monet up over my shoulder, and another one on another wall. Love Impressionist painting, so these composers were really inspired by Impressionist paintings and tried to write music that was that same kind of ideals. So this piece is called Judo, which means water games or water play. So the whole piece is very sort of sparkly. You can picture a river or a stream or something like that kind of splashing around playfully. So this was composed in 1901. So here is Judo by Maurice Ravel.
Thank you, Mike. That was gorgeous. I don't see any questions, just comments of beautiful. And that was so moving. Thank you for sharing your talent.
No problem.
Our next artist is the Dark Canoe Studio, who'll be bringing us a demonstration. Aaron Anderson is the artist, and Aaron says, I specialize in mixed media pieces involving subjects painted with hand-cut stencils and spray paint atop abstract backgrounds. So, Aaron, take it away.
Thank you, Molly. So yeah, I've been working on a few different things. As Molly said, I do a lot of mixed media and then stencils on top of that. I do usually an abstract background, and then I put a stencil on top of it. So I'll just quick show you the one that I finished just recently. It was actually for the art in books that was coming up at the library. This is all an abstract background that I did out of using pages from Animal Farm by George Orwell. And my idea was just really to make it like a propaganda poster. And so this part is the stencil. It's, I think it was 8 layers of different shades of gray, along with a shade of black and white that I had to cut out and then spray paint over this. So that's kind of the idea behind it, is just an abstract. So what I'm actually working on right now is when I just started this last weekend, I built the panel. I usually build my own panels. This one I'm keeping very experimental. I'm actually using some fabric that I found in a clearance bin. I thought might as well give it a try, put some fabric on there, and then just keep it very experimental in the sense that I'm not thinking too much about where I'm placing things, what colors I'm putting where. I just want to really, the first kind of intuition I have, that's what I'm going to go with. And then after this is all done, the plan is to, again, create a stencil that would really fit well with this particular piece when it's finished. Just a quick demonstration of how I make some of these. Like for instance here, you might see this piece here next to this fabric. We get a close-up of that. I use a lot of different techniques to make just kind of interesting textures. And so I'm going to quick show you how I do that. Over here, I'm going to take a look at this just cheap glass cutting board that I got at a thrift store. And what I do is I just drip different color paints onto that. I really like these golden paints. They are very good quality. The colors are very bright and vivid. As you can see, I use it a lot. Let me grab another one. I got one of these over here. That one's about empty. And I just drip that all over the place, and then I use a little bit of this ink, acrylic ink. And then what I also do before I finish is I put a little water in there. I usually use a spray bottle, but I didn't grab that from my studio. I'm actually not in my studio, I'm in my shop. My studio is in my garage, which I'm currently reorganizing. So I threw a lot of stuff in my studio as I've been doing that, and it's kind of a mess. So now that I got this on here, I take deli paper, this kind that they use to wrap your sandwich up with. I place that right over the top, and I just make a mess with it. Crumple it up a little bit, and it results in something like that. I can usually get a few pieces on there and get a few prints on. And then I let that dry. And then, just like Whitney said earlier, the Martha Stewart thing, I have some already finished. So I'm going to actually show you what I do with these and invite some studio assistants in, Emmeline and Octavius. And I just rip these up into various pieces. So if you guys want to each take one and just rip them up into small, different sizes, different shapes. And then I just look for areas to include it on the paint. try to find somewhere that's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm not thinking about it too much. I'm just adding it where it looks like it's going to work good. And then I glue it down. And I let those dry. So as I'm doing that, I'm also looking for areas where I can start adding some just color with my brushes and paints. And just looking for interesting shapes to use in there, how they'll fit in there. I just draw out a very light outline of one and then paint that in. And then I really like to outline, with this particular piece, I outline each color cell with black. It just really makes it stand out. And then once again, like I said, after this is all done, I might try to do a resin pour over the top. I've never done that before, so it might be kind of an experiment, maybe a total failure, I don't know, but I'm gonna do that before I put my stencil piece on. So now as they're getting those tore off, I'm just gonna show you one more thing before I'm finished. I work on multiple projects at a time because I get ideas constantly. This is one I'm working on. It's gonna actually be a stencil piece of MC Escher. He's a big inspiration to me. I'm actually making it out of puzzles. So I've had to build these large puzzles, then glue them together, and then take away the pieces to make the portrait. So what I'll actually show you what's gonna happen, it's gonna actually go on this, which I'm gonna be painting some tessellations on. This will go on, and then they'll just get on top of one another. I've probably got 5 or 6 more layers of puzzles to complete before the whole portrait's done. But it'll give it a 3-dimensional quality to it, where you can actually, see the depth of the painting and of the actual portrait of the individual. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Like I said, I'm gonna paint some tessellations, which MC Escher was very well known for. And I decided to go with puzzles because of the fact that it just seems like it would fit with MC Escher, being a man who painted illusions and things that were very, very mind-bending. So I went with puzzles. I do have one similar to this that I did of Bob Dylan, that I did out of records, where again, that was 3-dimensional. You could almost look like the topography of the earth when you look at it. So that was kind of the idea behind it. So that is another work in progress that I keep working on. I've gotten kind of burned out on building puzzles, so I've been doing that just here and there throughout the last few months. But I believe that is about my time. So I really appreciate, in closing, my studio assistants for helping out tonight, and everyone that was involved in making this possible. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it back over to Molly.
Bye. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Aaron, for giving us a studio tour, and thank you to your assistants, and for showing us your fascinating process. That was just really entertaining. Next up is Linda Donlin, Fine Art. Oh, and also if everyone could give a round of applause for the Dark Canoe Studio, Aaron, and also a belated round of applause to Mike Lang, or Mike. I think I was just so enthralled and enchanted by that beautiful piano piece that I forgot to encourage everyone to applaud, because I think I was just in a zone of awe. But next up is Linda Donlin, Fine Art. She is a local artist here, an impressionistic artist who paints with palette knife in acrylic and oils. Her paintings are vibrant with soft edges, dimensional with texture and layers, true in shape and form. And I know she exhibits here locally at the Capitol Gallery. So Linda, you're next.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Everything all right?
We can hear you.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. I've been painting since I was a little girl, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about how I got into art and what I've been working on and what I plan to work on. I've been I've been an artist since I was a little girl, and I have proof. My mom gave me this not too long ago. It was something I did in 5th grade, apparently. It was a pastel that I won a blue ribbon at the Wells County Fair for. So I spent a lot of time when I was a young girl writing stories and drawing pictures that went along with the stories. If there ever was a class project that had to do with, that needed illustration, I was always the first one to raise my hand. But you know, I grew up on a farm near Sykeston, North Dakota, and there were no real formal art classes where I was at. My parents did get me a famous artist correspondence class, and I enjoyed that a lot. But to make my living, I went with my writing skills, and I had a career in public relations, and I was in energy and higher education, and also spent nearly 6 years at Mayo Clinic working in the corporate communications department. And certainly my artist eye has helped me my whole career in public relations, as I worked on video and publications and marketing and advertising projects, but still worked on art in my spare time. I'm also a singer, and when I was a Mayo employee, I joined a group of employees that sang for patients during our lunch hour. And at that time, then something really clicked with me about how the body, mind, and spirit need to work together for our sense of well-being and for healing. And so 4 years ago, I went back to Mayo Clinic for foot surgery. So I took really a first break from work, which is not a fun way to take a break, I guess, but I had to sit for 6 weeks with my foot up, and I got my paints out and started painting. And the art bug really bit me then. And I decided at that time that it was time to leave the corporate world and to follow my artist calling. So the first thing I did was, it happened to be the 135th anniversary of my hometown, and we're having an all-class reunion. So I did a series of paintings of my hometown, and this is my high school where I grew up in Sykeston, North Dakota. I did 4 paintings for that reunion and also taught a class. And I love the performing arts. So the next series I did was local performing arts groups. I did a series of paintings of the symphony and of the civic chorus and the Northern Plains Dance and Central Dakota Children's Choir. And now I'm working on landscapes and, you know, kind of doing things that are special to me and have deep meaning. My style has evolved over the years, but I use palette knives. These are some of the tools of my trade. And the process that I use is similar to what I feel the body, mind, and spirit thing that moved me so much when I was at Mayo is I create the body of the painting. I often start with my fingers, my gloved fingers, kind of sketch things out and do the underpainting with my fingers. Then I bring in the palette knives, you know, kind of focus the mind on what this painting is going to be, and then capture the spirit of the painting with a brush later as I put in the highlights at the very end. So this is this painting back here is one of my most recent paintings. I just finished it a couple of weeks ago. It's called The Road Less Traveled. And I started out, I was going to paint something about a childhood memory of playing in the grove of trees on our farm with my sisters. And it ended up that it kind of took a different turn as I was painting. And it became something that was more, instead of the prairies beyond the trees, it became mountainous. And each of these trees took on a life of their own. They became like milestones along life's journey. Same thing with each of the bushes, and it became mountainous and an uphill path. And I placed a woman on the path, and now she looks to me like she is contemplating how far she's come in life and how far she's yet to go along this path. It's very richly textured painting, and a Facebook fan of mine said that it looked like a storybook cover, so I thought I was tickled with that. Right now I'm working on a triptych, which is like 3 different paintings that fit together as one. And I'm doing on the quaking aspens that are in my backyard. And in order to get into those, I took a video from our deck of how they shimmer and move. And this is the first part of the triptych of the quaking aspens, and I kind of got that from the video. And then the second part of the triptych I just finished this week. That's this one here. And to get this idea for this, I got to lay down on the ground and took some pictures of it looking up. And then the third part will be facing in this way, kind of a mirror image of the first one. And I decided to use the monochromatic color scheme that's very popular in decorating right now. Thank you, Chip and Joanna Gaines. And also when I toured some art studios in Arizona this last winter, I noticed that there's a trend toward metallic backgrounds. So you'll see that there's a lot of silver in the ice blue with this painting. And then I'm working on, the next thing I'm going to work on is a series I think called Feels Like Home, which will be more like North Dakota scenes. I did a newsletter story about my dad over Father's Day, and he was a very innovative farmer and was one of the first farmers in the area to raise sunflowers. And so I did a sunflower painting, and my newsletter story got picked up by some newspapers. And actually, they did a series that ran a lot in the upper Midwest about Dad and also about my paintings. Another one I wanted to show you is, as I said, I'm a singer and sing with the Bismark Mandan Civic Chorus. Before Christmas, there was a call for women artists from Minot State University because they were going to perform the Magnificat, and they wanted art to go along with that Magnificat. So I turned on the Magnificat, and I was familiar with it because I have sung the Magnificat before. And I created this painting. It's called My Soul Doth Magnify the Lord, and submitted that for that show in Minot. And after the show was over, I put it on my website, and I just got a message here about a month ago from a choral society in United Kingdom, and they want to use it for their marketing materials when they do the Magnificat at their upcoming concert. So I was thrilled with that, and I don't know, am I an international artist now? I'll take it. And just the last.
I'd say you are, Linda, and just for the sake of time, I'm gonna keep us moving along just because we've had so many wonderful artists and individuals sharing. So I would definitely say an international artist, and congratulations on your success. We have a Wells County connection. My in-laws were farmers there, and I love the Wells County Fairgrounds. It's beautiful. Thanks for your fascinating life story and sharing your process and being here. Next up, I have to do a little singing of happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Sammy of Fatum Novis, happy birthday to you. Our next artist, Sammy of Fatum Novis, it's her birthday today, and she says she has many creative hobbies, and she's the creator and host of Rogue Fairy Theater, an open mic and vaudeville review. But for this event, she wants to showcase her electroforming pieces and process, which is a relatively new art form. For short, it's similar to copper plating, and the name she's given this is Fatum Novis, which is Latin for strange fate, as she often works with found or discarded bones. So she's going to tell us about that, and just excited to know about her work here in the community, and thanks for joining us on your birthday.
Okay, my video is stopped. Let's see. There we go. Hello, hi. My name is Sammy. I'm from Fatum Novis. You can find me on Instagram. First of all, I want to give a disclaimer. No offense taken if anybody just wants to sit this one out. Bones are not for everybody. So let's get going. Let me turn this around here. There we go. All right, here we are in my little studio. I have this little pantry space off the side of my kitchen. this is some artwork from another local artist, Kim Olson. I actually traded her for one of my pieces, and it just kind of, it fit in here. So I have all of this stuff tucked back behind here. Let me turn the slide on, see if that helps. Kind of. A little bit. All right, so I find that a lot of people do not know what electroforming is. So just to show you what it kind of looks like, I've got this megalodon tooth right here. It's this copper plating right all over here. So how this works is you begin with selecting, you know, your items. I use a lot of natural items. So anything that is carbon based, you have to seal it. So this is a little here, and it's just, I've just been sitting around painting it with fingernail polish all day. I don't paint my fingernails, but I definitely paint my projects. You can also use polyacrylic, anything, varnish, resins. I'm hoping to get into resins soon. I think that'll be a little bit easier for doing dried prairie plants. So yeah, let's look at some projects I'm working on. This thing I just kind of threw together the other night. I think we'll make it a bolo tie. This is a trilobite, and there's some little garnets on there. So this is in a second phase. Well, let's show you this. I haven't finished this, but first you have to, you know, put it together, and you can use clay or an epoxy clay, glue, anything, any type of adhesive that you wanna go with. After this step, you would use a copper conductive paint, which if you look at these ones, this is just the copper conductive paint. These ones haven't been electroformed yet, versus something like this, which has a patina on it, and it's, you know, all copperized. So these are some projects that I've got ready to go. Not that one, that I've got ready to go in the bath. This one is a commission for a friend that loves to farm, and I wrote "wow" underneath this crystal here. I thought that was a fun little detail. I mean, man, there we go. Okay. I can't help adding fun little details. If there's anything that comes up that I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of silly, I will definitely add it. Some of the things that I create sometimes teeter on the edge of oddity. Some things just want to be weird, I guess, but I do work with a lot of bones. I had a young person ask me the other day why I choose to work with bones and dead things, and I feel like it's a way to honor animals that just kind of often go unseen. I mean, this bird right here I found in the parking lot of the Target. You know, nobody saw it really. I have a lot of cat bones, which is a sad story because I found a cat on a boulevard with a skull, and you could hardly tell that it was a cat, you know. So I do source my bones pretty carefully. I just find them on the street, or people give them to me now, which is a funny thing that happens once you start playing with dead stuff.
And
anyway,
Sammy, someone's asking, what is the process called? You said it's electroforming, is that right?
Yes, electroforming.
Okay.
Yep, and there's different types of electroforming, but this is copper electroforming. You could also do silver or gold, but that's more expensive, and you kind of have to layer the different metals.
Awesome.
So I'll just show you how this works, and we'll set something up and get it going.
And for the sake of time, I'm sorry, we'll have to, if you could do it really quick, we'll give you about 1 more minute.
So how this works is, I won't set something up, but this is a rectifier right here. Basically, it's a power supply. You've got volts and amps coming out. You connect one of these to this copper ring right here. You set your piece up suspended in there with a copper wire. you connect up your other, your cathode right there. And there's a blue chemical right here that you fill up to the top, and you turn this bad boy on, adjust the lever to the proper point, and all of the copper from this ring right here magnetizes to your piece. And when you're done, you pull it out, you've got to polish it and patina it, and you're done.
Fascinating. Thank you so much, Sammy. And I also look forward to your work with Rogue Fairy Theater. That's so exciting for our community. So we'll look to hear more from you, and thanks for participating. Next up is Kyle of Kosher Artworks. He'll do a quick process demo and talk a bit about his current art. He says he's been an artist of mixed media for as long as he can remember, and recently decided to start selling his art. He's always loved the outdoors and is fascinated by Noah's art on our nation's war birds and the stories of how they received their name. So he generally sticks to wildlife and his own style, using several different medias. However, as someone that loves all forms of art, he does whatever he gets his hands on to create. So he'd like to share today how to sculpt what he calls shed on a shelf. They're hand sculpted shed antler Christmas ornaments using oven baked clay. Thanks, Kyle, for joining. And I'm looking at the participant list. I'm not sure, is Kyle on, or maybe we'll go on to Bill, if you're ready. Bill Brien of Bountiful REIs. He's going to showcase some new art, and he's a self-taught artist with digital art as his medium. He discovered his love for art around 2016, and he's been doing it ever since. He says he finds most of his inspiration from the life he shares with his wife and their Native American culture. So welcome, Bill. Glad to have you.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be a part of this artist crawl. Again, like the introduction said, I discovered art around 2016. That was about 2 years into my wife's cancer diagnosis, breast cancer. So my wife, who's no longer here with us, passed away May 1st of 2018. But she was the reason for my discovery and love and passion for art and creating things that tell stories, creating things that share the emotions that we go through as human beings. And each piece that I create does have a story that I write with each piece. And I was just going to show some of the newest pieces that I have and some of the earlier pieces I've had. So I grew up in Grand Forks, North Dakota. My father is Chippewa and French. My mother is Lakota and Dakota. So I have a very unique cultural background from the Chippewa perspective that has many different beautiful stories, as well as my Dakota heritage. And my wife was also Lakota from Cheyenne River. So the first piece, the newest piece that I finished, I want to just show is called the Song of the Hummingbird. And so basically, my canvas is my cell phone here. So I use a free art app, actually. I don't have any supplies or paint or anything of that sort. So I will create all of my work on my cell phone art app, and then I'll print them on canvas. So this is a 16 by 20 inch canvas titled the Song of the Hummingbird. And a lot of the influence that I find, I use a lot of floral patterns, a lot of flowering themes and stuff because of the Anishinaabe or Ojibwa floral style patterns. The Sioux also have their own distinct floral designs. that I don't use quite as often, but I do use it in some pieces that I do make. This piece, basically what I did was I drew everything with a white pencil on the art app, and then basically I drew everything on a white art or with a white pencil, and the background was black. And then once I was done filling in the colors, I put a white background on it so it absorbs the white trace lines that I made, and all you'll see is the color. This piece again, called The Song of the Hummingbird. And then the next piece, the newest other piece that I finished, this one is called Gentle Mother. Again, with all of the floral patterns you can see. And I got some insects in here, butterfly, dragonfly. And then you can see that there's a Native American woman in the middle holding the earth. So this piece is accordingly titled Gentle Mother. And then all life is flowing from Mother Earth. All of the Earth's beauty, nature's beauty. And then the next piece has another mother theme. This one is called The Heart of the Mother, or A Mother's Heart. You can see another Native American woman holding a child in a cradle board and giving her heart to her child. Basically, as the other piece I just showed called Gentle Mother, she's holding the earth in her arms. This one, you can bring it down to a smaller version. Everything, the world, this child is the mother's world. In all of her lessons, all that she knows in life, she's giving held in her heart. She's giving this heart to her child. All that she's learned, all that she knows, the knowledge, the wisdom, and she's passing it on to her child, who is her world in that moment of childbearing. And again, I use pointillism to convey kind of beadwork, and that's what this piece is called. And that's on a 16 by 20 inch canvas. And just a few of my early pieces. This one is on a 16 by 16 inch canvas. This one is called Howling. This one I created when my wife was still here with us. Basically, when we were in between treatments and whether or not we wanted to go to Mayo again. I use a bunch of colors. I basically just spread them around on my cell phone screen, and then I'll go in with my finger and just kind of start bleeding everything together. If there's an area that I don't like, I'll just go ahead and add more color on top of what was below it and keep using my finger to create the shape and outline of a wolf. And that's this piece called The Howling. And just another quick piece. This one here, I loved all the colors because I was at a point in my life when I attribute, maybe all of these colors to a certain emotion that I was feeling after my wife passed away. And this piece came about after I held my first grandchild. My wife passed away in 2018, and our oldest daughter gave birth May 19th of the same month. So in those 3 weeks, I didn't really have a direction. I didn't really know what to do, and I held my granddaughter, who just turned 2 in May. I held her for the first time, and it kind of gave me that vision of what I'll be doing or what I should be doing next. And a lot of my artwork is inspired. It's motherhood is a big subject matter for me because seeing the strength of my wife, maybe not the physical strength because of the illness that it took on her, but the strength in her hope that she would get better. And then of course she held on to that hope to the very end. And I try to capture that essence in all of my work. It carries a spirit with it, each piece, and that's kind of what attracts a lot of people when I was set up at art shows and stuff, even online. a lot of people reach out and just say they love the story. And I like to, I guess, just end with the art piece it's beautiful and nice and all of that stuff, but you know, it's nothing without the story. So basically, the art piece is just a window. The story allows us to open that window and to look inside and see what's in there. And the company I started is called Bountiful. Ray was my wife's middle name, so I named the company after her, and majority of the or not majority, but a portion of the proceeds from my art sales I give to the Bismarck in honor of my wife, to help families going through what we went through. And that's pretty much everything that I do. And I guess thank you for allowing me to be a part of this beautiful.
Thank you so much, Bill. There's two questions, and thank you for sharing your story and your process and your inspiration and the art. Just love them, and it's beautiful. Someone has asked, what art app do you use? And then also, how does the design process get onto the canvas?
I found a company that prints on canvas, and they're very good. I had to research a few other printing companies, and I did a few sample orders. I looked at the wooden frame that comes around it, that canvas is placed around. I looked at the print quality. I looked at the edges. I looked pretty intensively at the piece, you know, and I really love this company's work. They do great work. And then the art app I use is called Sketchbook Pro. It's a free art app you can download.
Could you say that again? You were cutting out just a little bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's called Sketchbook Pro.
Great. Thank you. People were asking. Thank you so much for sharing and being part of this, Bill. Nice to meet you.
Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you. Next up, our last but not least in the least is famous painter Nicole. She's the brainchild behind this virtual studio tour and the main organizer. So just big shout out to Nicole. And she's an artist working in brushy, bright colors. She's a painter of pickles and prairie scenes. And she's a teaching artist for all ages and an aspiring community builder. She just did a mural down in Ashley and has done quite a few murals across the state. So Painter Nicole, on to you.
Hi, thank you so much, Molly. So before I start my tour of my space, I just want to take a second, all of the artists and and our community that have joined us, and thank you to Molly for being such an amazing host this evening and doing the best that she could. So proud of us. Thank you so much. So awesome to all the and support from for all the creative stuff that's going on. It can't happen even virtually when I can't be together. So we're here in my studio. Our house is my studio. Mostly I do painting and drawing. You can see some of my work behind me, some process on my easel. I do acrylic, oil, watercolor, a little bit of everything. I work a lot more in acrylic and watercolor in this studio, just because, like Drea was saying, homes are a pain. If I want to do oil, I'll go outside. And you can see in my studio, I have lots of the things that inspire me. Lots of colorful stuff, lots of stuff, things collected from thrift stores and just from all over. Over here, I have my kind of little Zoom, you know, we all have Zoom station now, right? Because it's like what we do. So this is where I teach. This is where all sorts of stuff. And then everything else is art storage, kind of. I'm a very visual person. So if I put something away in the closet, we'll never see it again. I won't know that I have it. So on my walls is anything that can go to a show, go to a gallery, something like that. I also keep the bins of one of the other projects I do. It's called Not Paint by Numbers. So these are little watercolor kits where people can use the watercolor paint down there to finish it. They're all original drawings, but I keep them out so that I know what I have. All sorts of fun stuff like that there. I know we're getting close to the 8 o'clock mark, so if anybody has to leave, that's really fine, or if anybody has questions for anybody else too, I'm happy to yield some time if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, I'll just keep showing you guys stuff. Art on the walls. I also have these little, been doing these for a while. They started as a one-a-day project where I would do one sky painted from the sky that I was looking at every day. That started as a series of 100 houses in 100 days. And I still do them every once in a while. They're done on scrap wood. So if I find some little pieces of wood that I have Scott turn into houses for me. He does all of my framing too. So if you see any sweet wooden frames here, that's all Scott's handiwork. He's also being my amazing camera person right now. So if he's really zooming in on the frames, it's because he's very proud of them. Back there I have more art. You can kind of see some of my inspiration is everything from landscapes and stuff from the garden to pickles. I have a few there that are just waiting to become a still life because that's how those got started. We had homemade pickles, and oh, there's one over here that I can show that's a pickle painting. We had homemade pickles, and I liked how they looked, so I painted them. So that's kind of been an ongoing, recurring muse of mine. But I take inspiration from all over. Anything that's colorful, kind of evoking memory. I usually try to keep them either cheerful or whimsical. Not always, but it kind of depends. So yeah, I think that's all I have now. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to share time if somebody has questions for somebody else. Super excited that everybody joined us for this. Oh, I'll show, I don't normally do a lot of abstract, but I'm playing around with abstract lately. So this is as abstract as I can get. There's still definitely recognizable imagery in there, but it's abstract for me. Not that I'm super realistic, like you can tell I have like an impressionist style, but normally it's recognizable imagery, and that was me playing around, getting away from it. Good to keep learning. So yeah, so that's my studio. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If no one has questions, I'll just throw it back to Molly to wrap things up. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Nicole. Love seeing your studio and your style just embodied in your home. That's what's so fun about studio tours, I think. Getting to see people's spaces where they work. So just to end, thank you again. Thank you to everybody for joining. Thanks to all of the artists for sharing your talents, and to community members and beyond that joined. I want to give a small plug just for Dakota West Arts Council. Again, we strive to lift up, connect, and collaborate with the wealth of talent we have here. And I think this has been just such a wonderful collaboration. So we'll hope to be in touch for the next reprise of this. And I wanted to just mention that Dakota West Arts Council grants out funds to individual artists and arts organizations in our communities. And that grant process will start to come open the middle of August. So if you'd like to follow Dakota West Arts Council on Facebook, and we also have it's artscapital.org. I'll put that in the chat as well. But please check that out, because we want to support the community of artists by helping you out with those grant funds. So again, thank you everyone for joining. This was just a delightful evening and so fun to connect with the wealth of talent across North Dakota and just to share. So look forward to future collaborations, and thanks to everybody. Have a great night.